Hello, thanks for joining me today. I am Laura Diffendahl and I am the Belize correspondent for International Living. I wanted to do a video today to do an update about what is happening in Belize during this crisis and give you an idea of one expat's story of what we have dealt with, what it has felt like. I am also a business owner in Belize, so there has obviously been, like everywhere in the world, a lot of experiences in dealing with having a business during the time of a quarantine. So I'm coming to you right now. It's 2 o'clock, about 2 o'clock Belize time, and I am on the island of Ambergris Caye. And I have a small business on the island, and that's where I am coming live from. Those of you that know the island, I'm about 1 mile north of the bridge, kind of near Truck Stop, which is a very, very popular bar north of the bridge. So um, the experience in Belize is a little bit different than I think some of the experiences people are having in the US. I was lucky enough, fortunate enough to be able to actually move onto my small hotel property, which is where I am living now, and I'm going to stay here throughout the quarantine process. So uh, today, of course, is the Saturday of Easter weekend. And some of you that know Belize know that Easter weekend is extremely special to Belizeans. And what has been a little bit sad about this weekend is Easter is usually a time where people from all over the country go and visit their families. It's a very, very festive time, mountain of get-togethers, um, very much a time where all Belizeans will travel through the country to be with their families, very celebratory, and it certainly is not a weekend to celebrate like everywhere in the world. So it has been an extremely quiet place to be, like everywhere else. Want to give an update. So we are on the island of Ambergris Caye. There's also, of course, the mainland of Belize. And the mainland right now is having a little bit more of a rough experience than we are here on the island. If you've been following our page, International Living Belize, Ambergris Caye on March 23rd got the first confirmed positive case of COVID. So obviously we were very far behind most of the world in our experience with it. Everything kind of felt normal up through March 23rd, with the exception that most of the tourists had gone home. So since on March 23rd, when they announced that first case, the island went into a mandatory 3-day lockdown. And at the end of that 3 days, we were then put on a 30-day state of emergency. We are now 20 days in from March 23rd when it was first announced. And I think what we all realized on the island here was we may be lucky to be on an island where we actually could quarantine the whole island, as opposed to being in the mainland where it's so much harder to deal with uh, traffic and the in and out and controlling that. So the island positive cases, and those have not at this time. We don't know what next week or next month looks like, just like everywhere in the world. But at this time, there has not been any more cases on the island. Unfortunately, the mainland announced today that they are at case number 13 now for the entire island. And so the Prime Minister late last night, from his home, he's also quarantining, announced that the entire country was going to be put on a mandatory 14-day, very intense lockdown period so that we can slow the spread, flatten the curve, and do all the things that many of you are doing from your places in the world. So the island community at first was looked at as, you know, the epicenter. This is where it all started. This was where the first positive case was brought. But those of us, there are many, many expats living here right now, and we are now feeling a little bit fortunate, but this crisis has certainly no promises. There are no guarantees. We do not know what next week, next month will look like. At the experience of being on this island, I can only encapsulate and say it has been a very, very touching and profound experience. And I say that because it was a very, very small attack on such a huge crisis. Every business owner, anybody with any resources came together and made sure there was not anybody hungry or anybody slipping through the cracks. And I'm speaking for the island right now. So that has continued. There's a wonderful place called Hope Haven that has been on the street handing out food, and everybody is getting these 2-week sacks of food if you are needy in any way. So it has been peaceful. There has been a huge police presence, and throughout Belize there is an 8 o'clock curfew. So if you are found outside after 8 o'clock and you are not an essential worker, you are actually arrested on the spot, and they have made a lot of arrests. So it has been extremely peaceful. There is right now on the mainland, it's kind of one to one because they're dealing with that mapping where they're finding this one confirmed positive patient. Now we see that his family had it, and now we have to map everyone in the family. So it is going to be a very stressful. I feel very fortunate that on the island, again, we're on day 20 of quarantine, and we have not had island as of yet. So being a small hotel owner on the island, I can say that every business owner that is able to take care of their staff is trying their best to do so, to pay them, to find things that we can do. But obviously, like the rest of the world, we're extremely limited. We can't have an open hotel. We can't have an open restaurant or bar. We can do delivery and takeout, and I'm sorry, just delivery right now. But a lot of us are just trying to keep our staff busy until such time that the world opens again. So like many of you, we are confined to our place of residence. We do not have free reign visit people or do any of that. We are able to leave in the mornings on the island 7 to 10 to do shopping. You are able to go visit the pharmacies a little bit later than that. There are some essential workers that you will see out. And because I am allowed to move a little bit on my own property here, I thought that it might be a nice thing to show you some of the absolutely beautiful scenery that I've been fortunate enough to be able to look at throughout these 20-day quarantines. And I'm going to take a little walk and show you some of the tropical foliage, the beautiful crystal clear blue sky, very sunny, and we'll get all the way to the beach. We can see what Belize is going to be offering people just as soon as we are able when things get a little back to normal. So if you give me a moment, I am going to show you a quick walkthrough. Doesn't hurt to be able to take a dip. It is very, very hot today. It feels extremely tropical. It is probably in the mid to high 80s. A little bit of a breeze, but the breeze is pretty warm. Sorry about that. We are on an island in Central America, and sometimes the connection is not as strong as we would like. So north of the bridge, if you visited several years ago, this is the road that you would have traveled. It's a sand road, and if I look back, if you go that way, there's now a paved road that goes about 3.5–4 miles north. But this road is still open. You still see some golf carts and bikes and everything else, but it certainly looks extremely tropical, extremely jungly. If you're familiar with the Tres Cocos neighborhood, it's an extremely peaceful neighborhood. Very, very beautiful, very quiet. If you can hear all of the palms rustling in the wind. If I keep walking the way I'm walking, which is north, I would hit Marbuck's Coffee Shop and Rum Dog Bar, which is a new bar over the water. I am going to turn and show you the Caribbean Sea. And this stretch of houses I'm about to show you is considered one of the really, really nice stretches in Belize. Some people call it Millionaire's Row. So it's a stretch of extremely expensive, beautiful view, perfect location, very tranquil area. You may hear a little wind noise because we have this wonderful warm wind coming off of the Caribbean right now. Get as close as I can, and I'll try to talk right into the camera over the wind. We'll call it breeze. It is more of a breeze, even though it probably sounds like it's stronger than it is. So much like a lot of parts of Belize, this is meant for boats, so you'll see a lot of these docks down the beach area. And that brown palapa, the larger one over the water, that's Rum Dog. If you keep walking past Rum Dog, don't think you can really see it, but that's where Akbol Yoga is. You can do yoga over the water. I'll give you a quick sweep of Millionaire's Row. Very, very beautiful place to live. And if you are here, you may know about Belize that all of the beachfront is public land. So while these are considered homeowners' docks, the land is, you are welcome to walk here. And in the mornings, we're obviously it's in the afternoon right now, but in the mornings you'll see a mountain of expats out here walking their dogs, jogging, and very, very peaceful, tranquil place to enjoy your mornings. So now I am heading back to that sandy path. And if you are curious about price of real estate right on the water here, it's probably some of the most expensive in the entire country. So while it is very tranquil and beautiful, you certainly do pay for it. But like everywhere in Belize, if you're willing to just be a few steps from the beach and you can see only how far it took me, the price of real estate changes quite drastically. So for those of you asking, I am in the Tres Cocos neighborhood, just north, about 1 mile north of the bridge, right out of San Pedro town. And I'll show you one more sweep, this wonderful sandy path. And I have my direct email address in the comments on this video, belize@internationalliving.com. So please feel free to reach out to me if I can answer any questions about living in Belize. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today.